You sit down to study, and somehow even opening the book feels exhausting. Not difficult, heavy. It's not about the complexity of the material, but the sheer emotional weight that seems to press down on you, making every page feel like a monumental task. Imagine this. It's 8 p.m. You've had a long day of classes, maybe even a part-time job, and now the textbook for organic chemistry sits on your desk. A silent judge. You pick it up, and it feels like it weighs a ton, not physically, but mentally. Your eyes scan the first paragraph, but the words just don't register. You put it down, sigh, and reach for your phone. So you procrastinate, delay, and stare at the work without starting. You tell yourself you'll start after just one more TikTok, which turns into an hour. Or you suddenly feel an urgent need to organize your entire digital photo library. A task you've put off for months. You scroll through social media, clean your room for the 5th time, or find any excuse to avoid the looming textbook. The guilt gnaws at you, reinforcing the belief that you're simply not disciplined enough. Unlike your peers who seem to effortlessly juggle academics, extracurriculars, and a social life. Eventually, the internal monologue begins, and you tell yourself, maybe I'm just lazy, everyone else seems to manage. What's wrong with me? But what if you're not lazy and your brain is emotionally exhausted? What if this feeling of dread isn't a character flaw, but a signal from an overwhelmed mind? Because burnout doesn't always look dramatic. It's not always a sudden collapse or a complete breakdown. Sometimes it looks like reading the same page repeatedly, the words blurring together without comprehension, forcing you to reread it 5 times. Sometimes it looks like feeling tired before you even begin, the energy drained from your body, just at the thought of starting a new assignment, or losing motivation for things you used to care about. Hobbies that once brought joy now feel like another chore. Perhaps you used to love debating philosophical concepts, but now the thought of engaging in a class discussion fills you with dread. It might manifest as constant irritability, difficulty concentrating, or a pervasive sense of apathy towards your studies and even your future. You might find yourself snapping at friends or family, or struggling to focus on a simple conversation. And students often mistake burnout for failure. They internalize the struggle, believing they are simply not smart enough, not disciplined enough, or inherently flawed. They see their declining grades or missed deadlines as proof of their inadequacy. But they are not the same thing. Burnout is a state of chronic stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion, cynicism, detachment, and feelings of ineffectiveness. Failure is an outcome. Burnout is a process. It's a prolonged response to chronic emotional and interpersonal stressors at work, or in this case, in academia. When pressure becomes constant, your brain stops associating studying with growth, discovery, or intellectual curiosity. It starts associating it with stress, deadlines, judgment from professors and peers, and the fear of not measuring up. Think about it. Every assignment feels like a high-stakes performance, every exam a potential public humiliation. So now even small tasks, like writing a short essay or solving a simple problem, feel emotionally heavy. Not because they are impossible, but because your brain expects pressure, anxiety, and potential disappointment the moment you begin. It's a learned response, a protective mechanism gone awry, where the brain tries to shield you from perceived threats by making you avoid the activity altogether. Malala Yousafzai once said, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." This quote speaks to the inherent power and potential of education. But for many students today, education no longer feels connected to curiosity, personal growth, or changing the world. Only performance, grades, and the relentless pursuit of external validation. The joy of learning is replaced by the burden of expectation. Students are often pushed to achieve, to compete, to excel, losing sight of the intrinsic value of knowledge itself. At Daily Reset Lab, this channel explores the hidden psychological patterns behind learning, pressure, and identity. We delve into why our brains react the way they do under stress, and how we can reframe our approach to education and self-worth. We aim to provide tools and insights to help you navigate the complexities of academic life without sacrificing your well-being. If this feels familiar, if you found yourself nodding along, watch this next. Why you never feel ready, even after studying. Now let's go deeper. Burnout changes how effort feels. Your brain, in an attempt to protect itself from perceived threats, like academic pressure, starts resisting effort altogether. It's like an internal alarm system that goes off every time you approach your studies, making even starting feel like an uphill battle against an invisible force. That's why even the simplest task becomes difficult to initiate. You might find yourself staring at a blank document for hours, unable to type a single word, even though you know exactly what you want to say. And the more guilty you feel for not studying, for procrastinating, for not being productive, the heavier studying becomes. This creates a vicious cycle. Pressure creates exhaustion, exhaustion creates avoidance, and avoidance creates even more pressure and guilt. It's a self-perpetuating trap that leaves you feeling helpless and drained. You feel bad for not working, which makes working feel even worse, leading to more avoidance, and the cycle continues, spiraling downwards. So the solution is not forcing yourself harder, pushing through the exhaustion with sheer willpower. That often exacerbates the problem, leading to deeper burnout. The solution is reducing the emotional weight attached to studying. It's about changing your brain's association with the task, transforming it from a threat into something manageable. Instead of thinking, I need to finish everything, I need to get an A, I need to understand every concept perfectly. My entire future depends on this one assignment. Try a different approach, a gentler one that acknowledges your brain's current state. I'll begin for 5 minutes. I'll just read one paragraph. I'll open the textbook and look at the first heading. I'll just write one sentence. Small starts reduce resistance. They trick your brain into thinking the task isn't a threat, that it's manageable and not overwhelming. It's like telling a child, just try one bite, instead of eat the whole plate. And resistance is the real battle during burnout, not your intelligence or your capability. By lowering the barrier to entry, you bypass the brain's protective mechanisms, allowing you to gently re-engage. One small but powerful thing can help. Before studying, stop measuring yourself by productivity. Stop focusing on the outcome, the grades, or the amount of material covered. Focus only on beginning, because momentum is easier to build than pressure. Once you start, even for a few minutes, the task often feels less daunting, and you might find yourself continuing naturally, building a positive feedback loop instead of a negative one. So the next time studying feels impossible, don't immediately call yourself lazy or a failure. Pause. Take a breath. Your brain may simply be reacting to exhaustion, not a lack of effort or ability. It's a sign that you need a different strategy, not a different self. It's a call for compassion and understanding, not self-criticism. And remember, your score is information. It tells you about your performance in a specific context. It is not your identity. Your worth as a person is not defined by your academic achievements, but by your inherent value, your character, and your capacity for growth. Subscribe to Daily Reset Lab for more perspective like this, and join a community that understands the psychological nuances of learning and well-being. We're here to help you reset your relationship with studying and rediscover the joy of learning. And if you want to understand why preparation still doesn't make you feel confident even after hours of studying, watch Why You Never Feel Ready Even After Studying.